Elijah stood at the grand gates of Alessia's birthday party. He wore his best shirt and held a bouquet of roses. The mansion glowed with golden lights. Music filled the air. Rich guests in fancy clothes walked past him like he was invisible. Elijah's heart raced. He had saved for weeks to buy those flowers. Tonight, he would tell Alessia how much she meant to him. A security guard stopped him at the door. "Where do you think you're going?" the guard asked roughly. "I'm here for Alessia," Elijah said quietly. "I brought her flowers." The guard laughed. "A mechanic? At this party?" Inside, someone had already told Alessia that Elijah was outside. She came to the entrance with her friends. They were all dressed like movie stars. Alessia looked at Elijah and the cheap flowers. Her face twisted with disgust. "What are you doing here?" she asked coldly. I wanted to wish you happy birthday," Elijah stammered. Alessia's friends started laughing. Someone pulled out their phone and started recording. "You're embarrassing me," Alessia said loudly. "You're just a mechanic. Did you really think you belonged here?" The words hit Elijah like stones. Security guards grabbed Elijah's arms. They dragged him away from the party. Guests pulled out their phones. Camera flashes went off like lightning. Everyone was recording. Elijah's flowers fell to the ground and were crushed under expensive shoes. "Please," Elijah whispered, but no one listened. They threw him out onto the street. The heavy gates slammed shut behind him. Elijah could still hear the laughter and music from inside. He picked himself up slowly. His shirt was torn. His dignity was shattered. He walked home through the dark streets. His small garage stood quiet in the moonlight. It wasn't much, but it was honest work. Inside, Mama Esther was waiting for him. She was the old woman who had raised him after his parents died. She saw his face and knew immediately what had happened. "They hurt you again, didn't they?" she asked gently. Elijah nodded. Tears finally came. "Why do they treat me like I'm nothing?" he asked. Mama Esther hugged him tight. "Because they can't see your true worth," she said. "But one day, my son, they will see. One day, the truth always comes to light." Elijah didn't believe her. Not tonight. Tonight, he just felt broken. That night, Elijah couldn't sleep. He sat alone in his small room above the garage. Moonlight came through the window. Everything was quiet now. He stood up and walked to his closet. Behind old clothes and boxes, there was a safe hidden in the wall. Elijah entered the code. The safe opened with a soft click. Inside was a black briefcase. It looked expensive and out of place in his simple room. Elijah lifted it onto his bed. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside were documents, bank papers, and identification cards. They all had his name. But they didn't say, Elijah the mechanic. They said, Elijah Chen, CEO of Chen Technologies. His parents had built a billion-dollar tech company. When they died in a car accident 5 years ago, Elijah was only 19. He had been too young, too heartbroken to take over. His uncle Damien had promised to manage everything until Elijah was ready. But Elijah had noticed strange things. Money disappearing. Contracts changing. So he had disguised himself. He became a simple mechanic. He wanted to watch and learn the truth. Now, looking at these papers, Elijah felt something new. Not just sadness. Not just anger. Purpose. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments what you have learned in the story. The next morning, Elijah went to work as usual. But his mind was different now. He started paying closer attention to everything around him. A customer brought in a luxury car that week. It belonged to someone from Alessia's father's dealership. Elijah noticed something odd. The car's computer system had technology from Chen Technologies. That was his company. But the contract papers in the glove box showed something wrong. The dealership was buying the technology through a fake company. They were paying much less than the real price. Someone was stealing from him. Elijah took pictures of everything with his phone. He made copies of the papers. That evening, he sat in his office and started investigating. He looked through old emails his parents had saved. He found contracts from 5 years ago. Alessia's father, Victor Romano, had been partners with Uncle Damien. They had signed deals right after Elijah's parents died. The dates were too perfect. Too convenient. Elijah's stomach turned cold. The rejection at the party wasn't random. Alessia's family knew exactly who he was. They had been using him all along. And Alessia? Was she part of it too? Elijah decided to confront his Uncle Damien. He drove to the Chen Technologies headquarters downtown. It was a tall glass building that touched the clouds. Elijah had not been there in months. Security didn't recognize him in his mechanic clothes. "I'm here to see Damien Chen," Elijah said. "Do you have an appointment?" the security guard asked. "Tell him his nephew is here." The guard's face went pale. He made a quick phone call. Minutes later, Uncle Damien came down. He was a tall man in an expensive suit. His smile was fake. "Elijah. What a surprise. Come, let's talk in my office." They went upstairs. Damien's office was huge. It had a view of the whole city. "Why are you dressed like that?" Damien asked. "I'm working," Elijah said. "I'm learning things. Like how Victor Romano is stealing from us." Damien's smile disappeared. "You don't understand business, nephew." "Then explain it to me," Elijah demanded. Damien's eyes went dark. "You're too young. Too soft. Your parents built this company, but I saved it. And if you try to interfere, you'll lose everything." Elijah stood up. "We'll see about that, Uncle." He left before Damien could say another word. War had begun. Elijah knew he needed help. He couldn't fight Uncle Damien and Victor Romano alone. That week, he hired a private investigator named Marcus. Marcus was a former detective who specialized in corporate fraud. "I need everything," Elijah told him. "Bank records, emails, phone calls, meetings. I need proof." Marcus got to work immediately. Within days, he found something big. There were falsified contracts going back 5 years. Uncle Damien had been creating fake companies. He would buy technology from Chen Technologies at low prices, then sell it at high prices. He kept the difference. Victor Romano's dealership was just one client. There were dozens more. Millions of dollars had been stolen. Elijah also contacted his parents' old lawyer, Mrs. Chen. She was not related by blood, but she had been loyal to his family for decades. "Elijah, I've been waiting for you to come back," she said when they met. "I knew something was wrong, but I had no proof." "Now we do," Elijah said. He showed her everything Marcus had found. Mrs. Chen's eyes went wide. "This is criminal. We can take them down." "Not yet," Elijah said. "I need more. I need to know everyone involved." He wanted complete justice. Not just revenge. Meanwhile, trouble was coming to the Romano dealership. Government auditors showed up without warning one Monday morning. They demanded to see all financial records from the past 5 years. Victor Romano's face went white. "This is a mistake," he told the auditors. "We run a clean business." But the auditors didn't listen. They spent days going through every file and computer. Alessia noticed her father acting strange. He was on the phone constantly. He was nervous and angry. One night, she asked him what was wrong. "Nothing you need to worry about," Victor snapped. "Just smile and look pretty. That's your job." The word stung. Alessia had always known her father saw her as decoration. But hearing it so clearly hurt. She started looking at the dealership differently. She noticed how her father treated the workers. How he yelled at the mechanics. How he bragged about deals that seemed too good to be true. For the first time in her life, Alessia felt doubt. What if her perfect world wasn't so perfect? What if her father wasn't the hero she thought he was? She pushed the thoughts away. Family was family. But the seed had been planted. One afternoon, Alessia came to Elijah's garage. She didn't recognize him at first. She had barely looked at him during the party. A customer had a luxury car that needed urgent repairs. The customer was important to her father's dealership. Every other mechanic in the city was too busy. Someone had recommended Elijah's garage. "Can you fix this by tomorrow?" Alessia asked. Her voice was polite but distant. Elijah looked up from under a car. He recognized her immediately. His heart jumped, but he kept his face calm. "What's wrong with it?" he asked. Alessia explained the problem. Elijah examined the car carefully. "I can fix it," he said. "It'll be ready tonight." Alessia looked surprised. "Really?" Everyone else said 3 days. "I know what I'm doing," Elijah said simply. He worked on the car all afternoon. Alessia watched him. She noticed how skilled he was. How gentle with the machinery. How focused. When the car was finished, it ran perfectly. Alessia reached for her purse. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing," Elijah said. "Consider it a gift." "I can't accept that," Alessia protested. "Yes, you can," Elijah said. He looked her in the eyes. "Not everything is about money." Alessia left feeling confused. Something about that mechanic felt familiar. That night, Alessia received a strange email. The sender was anonymous. The subject line said, "The truth about your father." Alessia almost deleted it. But curiosity made her open it. Inside was a document. It showed contracts between her father's dealership and various tech companies. But the numbers didn't match. Money was going in and out of accounts that didn't make sense. There were names she didn't recognize. Companies that seemed fake. At the bottom was a note, "Your father is not who you think he is. More proof coming soon. A friend." Alessia's hands shook. She printed the document and went to her father's office. He was drinking whiskey and looked stressed. "Dad, I need to ask you something," she said. She showed him the paper. Victor's face went red with anger. "Where did you get this?" he shouted. "Someone sent it to me." "Is it true?" "It's fake," Victor yelled. "Someone is trying to destroy our family. This is slander. This is lies." He grabbed the paper and tore it up. "Don't you ever question me again," he said coldly. "I've given you everything. This is how you repay me." Alessia left the room in tears. But deep down, she knew. Her father was lying. Elijah decided it was time to go public. Not with his identity. Not yet. But with the truth about the fraud. He created an anonymous social media account. He posted a video. His face was covered with a mask. His voice was changed with technology. "I'm about to tell you about the biggest fraud in this city," the video began. "A local car dealership has been stealing from customers and partners for years. They use fake companies. They manipulate contracts. They pay off officials to look the other way. Elijah showed documents on screen. He blurred out some names, but left enough clues. This isn't about one person. It's about a system of greed. And it needs to stop. The video went viral overnight. People shared it thousands of times. Internet detectives started investigating. They figured out which dealership Elijah was talking about. Romano Luxury Motors. News reporters started calling the dealership for comments. Protest groups showed up outside. Victor Romano's perfect reputation was crumbling. The pressure was building. And Elijah was just getting started. He watched the chaos from his small garage and smiled. "They'll see one day," Mama Esther had said. That day was coming soon. 2 nights later, Elijah heard glass breaking. He ran downstairs to the garage. Someone had thrown rocks through his windows. Paint was sprayed on the walls. The word said, "Mind your business," in red letters. His tools were scattered everywhere. Some equipment was destroyed. Elijah's hands curled into fists. He wanted to fight back with anger. But he remembered Mama Esther's words. "Grace, not rage," she used to say. He took pictures of everything. He called the police and filed a report. Then he called Mrs. Chen, his lawyer. "They're getting desperate," she said. "That means we're winning." "It doesn't feel like winning," Elijah said. "Keep every piece of evidence," Mrs. Chen advised. "Every threat they make is another nail in their coffin." Elijah cleaned up the garage himself. His neighbors came to help. These were simple people. Workers and families who had known him for years. They didn't know he was secretly a billionaire. They just knew he was one of them. A good man. "We've got your back," one neighbor said. Elijah felt grateful. Money could buy many things. But it couldn't buy loyalty like this. He would remember this when the truth finally came out. 3 days later, Mama Esther collapsed. Elijah found her on the kitchen floor. Her breathing was weak. He called an ambulance immediately. At the hospital, doctors said her heart was failing. She was old, and the stress had been too much. Elijah sat by her bed holding her hand. Tears ran down his face. "I'm sorry, Mama," he whispered. "This is my fault. All this fighting." Mama Esther squeezed his hand weakly. "No, child," she said. "You're doing what's right. That's never wrong." "But look what it's costing us," Elijah said. "They vandalized the garage. Now you're here." "Evil men fear the light," Mama Esther said. "That's why they attack. But you must keep shining, Elijah. Promise me." "I promise," Elijah said. "But I'll do it your way. With grace. With dignity." Mama Esther smiled. "Your parents would be so proud of you." She closed her eyes to rest. Elijah stayed with her all night. In the quiet hospital room, he made a decision. He wouldn't just expose the corruption. He would build something good from the ashes. Something that honored Mama Esther. Something that helped people like her. People who had nothing but gave everything. Alessia couldn't sleep anymore. The anonymous email haunted her. Her father's anger haunted her. The viral video haunted her. She started volunteering at a youth center downtown. She needed to do something good. Something real. The center helped kids from poor families. They offered free tutoring and meals. Alessia had never been around people like this before. One girl named Maria reminded Alessia of herself. But Maria had no money for school. No fancy dresses. No easy life. "Why do you volunteer here?" Maria asked one day. "You're rich. You could be anywhere." Alessia thought carefully. "I'm trying to understand something," she said honestly. "What?" What really matters, Alessia answered. Maria smiled. That's easy. People matter. Not things. The words hit Alessia hard. She had spent her whole life chasing things. Expensive clothes. Important parties. The right friends. But when had she ever felt truly happy? When had she ever felt truly loved? She thought about the mechanic who had fixed the car for free. She thought about how calm and dignified he had been. Even after she had treated him terribly at her party. Shame burned in her chest. She was starting to see herself clearly. And she didn't like what she saw. Marcus the investigator called Elijah with urgent news. I found something big, Marcus said. You need to hear this. He came to the garage with a recording device. I got this from a source inside Chen Technologies, Marcus explained. It's from 5 years ago. Right after your parents died. He pressed play. Elijah heard voices. His uncle Damien and Victor Romano. They were in a meeting. The kid doesn't suspect anything, Damien's voice said. He's too heartbroken. Too young. Good, Victor replied. We can take over everything before he realizes what happened. The car accident was perfect timing, Damien said. Elijah's blood went cold. What do you mean? Victor asked on the recording. I mean, we're lucky it happened when it did, Damien said. Now nothing stands in our way. The recording ended. Elijah felt like he couldn't breathe. Are they saying? He couldn't finish. I don't know, Marcus said carefully. But we need to investigate your parents' accident. Something isn't right. Elijah's world tilted. His parents' death might not have been an accident. It might have been murder. And his own uncle might have been involved. Everything changed in that moment. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about justice for his family. Mrs. Chen moved quickly. She filed legal papers to freeze Uncle Damien's assets. She requested a full audit of Chen Technologies. She submitted all the evidence to prosecutors. This is enough to put them in prison for years, she told Elijah. But we need to be careful. They're dangerous. I know, Elijah said. That's why we're going to expose them publicly. What do you mean? Mrs. Chen asked. They're throwing a gala next week, Elijah explained. To celebrate the dealership's clean audit and restore their reputation. Victor Romano had bribed the right people. The audit had somehow come back clean. Now he was using it as propaganda. I'm going to that gala, Elijah continued. And I'm going to reveal everything in front of everyone. Mrs. Chen looked worried. That's risky. So is letting them win, Elijah said. He had been invited to the gala. Victor had sent invitations to local businesses as a publicity stunt. Featured guest mechanics were supposed to attend to show the dealership supported working people. It was all fake. But Elijah would use it. He would walk into their celebration. And he would tear down their lies in front of cameras and witnesses. The final battle was coming. The invitation arrived at Elijah's garage in a fancy envelope. It was gold and expensive looking. Romano Luxury Motors Grand Reopening Gala, it said. Celebrating integrity and excellence. Elijah almost laughed. The irony was perfect. At the bottom was a note, we invite local mechanics to join us as honored guests. Show the community we support all workers. It was all for show. Victor wanted to look humble and kind. But Elijah saw through it. I'm going, he told Mrs. Chen. Everything is ready, she replied. The prosecutors will be there. The media will be there. Police will be on standby. And Uncle Damien? Elijah asked. He'll be there too. Victor invited him as a business partner. Perfect. Both snakes in one room. Elijah spent the next few days preparing. He practiced what he would say. He organized all his evidence on a USB drive. He bought a simple but clean suit. Nothing too fancy. He wanted to look like himself. Like the mechanic they had mocked. On the night of the gala, Elijah stood in front of his mirror. Mama Esther had come home from the hospital. She was weak but alive. "You look handsome, my son," she said. "Make your parents proud." "I will," Elijah promised. He kissed her forehead and left for the gala. The Romano dealership was transformed. Red carpets covered the floors. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. A stage was set up with microphones and cameras. News reporters were everywhere. Rich guests arrived in expensive cars. They wore designer clothes and fake smiles. Elijah arrived in his old truck. He wore his plain suit and carried nothing but his USB drive in his pocket. Security guards looked at him suspiciously. "Name?" one asked. "Elijah. I'm one of the invited mechanics." The guard checked his list and nodded. Elijah walked inside. No one recognized him. To them, he was just another poor worker. Background decoration for their show. He saw Alessia across the room. She wore a beautiful blue dress. She was greeting guests with her father. She looked tired. Sad, even. Uncle Damien was there too. He wore a $1,000 suit and laughed loudly with other businessmen. Elijah felt rage building inside. But he breathed slowly. Control. Patience. The time would come. Alessia walked to the stage. The lights dimmed. Everyone turned to watch. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "Tonight, we celebrate my father's legacy. A legacy of honesty, hard work, and integrity." The lies tasted bitter in the air. Elijah waited. Alessia continued her speech. "My father built this dealership from nothing. He taught me that reputation is everything. That trust is everything." She paused. Her voice cracked slightly. "And I'm proud to say that recent audits have proven what we've always known. This business is clean. This business is honest." The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. Victor Romano stood up and waved. He was smiling like a king. That's when Elijah stood up. He walked toward the stage slowly. People turned to look. Whispers started. "Who is that? Is that one of the mechanics?" Security guards moved toward him. But Elijah reached the stage first. He climbed the stairs. Alessia stepped back, confused. "Excuse me," she said. "This isn't, my name is Elijah Chen," he said into the microphone. His voice was calm and clear. The room went silent. Uncle Damien's face went white. Victor Romano froze. "5 years ago, my parents died in a car accident," Elijah continued. "They owned Chen Technologies. A billion-dollar company. I inherited everything." He pulled out the USB drive. "But my uncle and Mr. Romano stole from me. They created fake companies. They laundered money. They committed fraud." He plugged the drive into the presentation computer. Documents appeared on the big screen. Bank records. Emails. Contracts. "Here is the proof," Elijah said. "Everything you need to see." The crowd gasped. Reporters started recording frantically. Victor Romano ran toward the stage. "This is a lie," he shouted. "He's a disgruntled employee." But Elijah pressed play on an audio file. The recording from 5 years ago filled the room. Uncle Damien's voice, "The kid doesn't suspect anything." Victor's voice, "We can take over everything before he realizes what happened." The room erupted in chaos. People were shouting. Cameras were flashing. Then the doors burst open. Police officers walked in. Mrs. Chen was with them. She carried legal documents. Damien Chen and Victor Romano, a police officer, announced. "You're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy." Security guards who had once thrown Elijah out now stood frozen. They watched as their boss was handcuffed. Uncle Damien tried to run. But officers caught him at the back door. They handcuffed him too. "This is a mistake," Damien shouted. "I'm his uncle. I took care of him." "You stole from me," Elijah said coldly. "You betrayed my parents' memory. And you might have even killed them." The police led both men away. Camera crews followed. It was all being broadcast live. The same guests who had mocked Elijah at Alessia's party now stared at him in shock. The poor mechanic was actually a billionaire CEO. And he had just destroyed two powerful men with the truth. Alessia stood backstage. Her whole body was shaking. She was crying. Her perfect world had shattered in minutes. Everything she believed was a lie. Her father was a criminal. Her family's money was stolen. Her reputation was destroyed. Elijah found her sitting alone in a dark hallway. She looked up at him with red eyes. "Was any of it real?" she asked. "Did you ever actually like me?" Elijah sat down beside her. "Not too close. Just near." "I did," he said honestly. "I thought you were beautiful and smart. I thought we had something. But I treated you like garbage," Alessia sobbed. "Why didn't you tell me who you were? Would you have believed me?" Elijah asked. "Or would you have laughed and called security?" Alessia couldn't answer. She knew the truth. "It was never about the money," Elijah said. "It was about worth. About dignity. Your father and my uncle thought they could take everything because I was young and broken. They thought I was weak." He stood up. "But strength isn't about money or power. It's about truth. About standing up when everyone tells you to stay down." Alessia looked at him. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know," Elijah said. Then he walked away. He had said what needed to be said. The rest was up to her. The next morning, Elijah visited the cemetery. Mama Esther was better now, but she had asked him to go alone. "You need to talk to them," she had said. He stood in front of his parents' graves. The morning sun was gentle and warm. "I did it, Mom and Dad," Elijah said quietly. "I got justice for you. Uncle Damien and Victor are in jail. The company is safe." He knelt down and touched the stone. "But I don't feel happy. I feel empty." The wind blew softly through the trees. Elijah remembered something Mama Esther had taught him. Revenge is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. He didn't want revenge anymore. He wanted healing. "I'm going to do something good with the money," he said. "Something you would be proud of. I'm going to help people like Mama Esther. People who gave everything even when they had nothing." He stood up and wiped his eyes. "And Alessia. I'm not going to press charges against her. She didn't know. She was just a girl raised by a bad man." Making that decision felt right. It felt like freedom. Elijah left the cemetery feeling lighter. The anger was gone. Only purpose remained. He would build something beautiful from all this pain. 2 months later, Elijah stood in front of a new building. It was in the poorest part of the city. The sign above the door said, "The Esther Foundation Technical Institute." Inside were classrooms, workshops, and computer labs. Everything was brand new. Elijah had used his own money to build it. This school would teach young people valuable skills for free. Mechanics, coding, business, engineering. Any kid who wanted to learn could come. No money required. Mama Esther stood beside him. She was crying happy tears. "You named it after me?" she asked. "You gave me everything when I had nothing," Elijah said. "Now I'm passing that forward." The grand opening was today. Reporters came. But so did regular people. Families from the neighborhood. Kids who needed hope. Elijah gave a speech. "My parents built a company. But I want to build futures. This institute is for anyone who's been told they're not good enough. Anyone who's been rejected because of where they come from." He looked at the crowd. "You are enough. You are worthy. And this place will help you prove it." People applauded. Not because he was rich. But because his words were true. Chen Technologies was running smoothly again under honest management. But this school was Elijah's real legacy. The internet exploded with Elijah's story. The video of the gala reveal went viral worldwide. Millions of people watched the moment the poor mechanic exposed the fraud. Hashtags trended everywhere. Hashtag justice for Elijah. Hashtag truth wins. Hashtag the Esther Foundation. News channels interviewed Elijah. Magazines wrote articles about him. A movie studio even called about making a film. But Elijah stayed humble. He gave most interviews from his old garage. He still wore simple clothes. He still fixed cars for neighbors. "Money doesn't change who you are," he told one reporter. "It just reveals who you've always been." People loved him for that. Donations poured into the Esther Foundation. Volunteers signed up to teach. Students enrolled from across the city. Even the garage became famous. Tourists came to take pictures. But Elijah's neighbors protected him. They made sure he could still live in peace. One day, a young boy came to the garage. "Mr. Elijah, I want to be like you when I grow up," the boy said. Elijah smiled. "Don't be like me. Be better. Learn from my mistakes. And always, always choose kindness over revenge." That was the message spreading around the world. Not just the revenge story. But the redemption story. The grace story. 3 months after the gala, Alessia walked into the Esther Foundation. She looked different now. Simpler clothes. No makeup. Humble. She asked to speak with Elijah. They met in his office. "I've been volunteering at the youth center," Alessia said. "I've been learning about business ethics. I want to help here. If you'll let me." Elijah studied her face. "Why?" "Because I was wrong," Alessia said. "About everything. About you. About what matters. I need to rebuild myself." "I'm not looking for an apology," Elijah said. "I know. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. And for all the people I ignored my whole life." Elijah thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "You can teach business classes. Basic entrepreneurship for the students." "Really?" Alessia looked shocked. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Elijah said. "Even you." There was no romance between them. That door had closed. But there was something better. Respect. Understanding. Growth. Alessia worked hard at the foundation. She was a good teacher. She shared her mistakes with students so they could learn. Slowly, she became a better person. Not because Elijah saved her. But because she chose to save herself. That was the only way real change happened. 1 year later, Elijah stood on a stage again. But this time was different. He wore his mechanic uniform. His hands had grease stains from working that morning. The audience was packed with people. Students, families, community members. Even news cameras. Today was the Foundation's first graduation ceremony. 50 students were receiving certificates in various skills. Elijah looked at their faces. He saw hope. He saw pride. He saw future mechanics, engineers, and business owners. A year ago, I stood on a different stage, Elijah began. I revealed corruption and got justice. People called me brave. He paused. But the real bravery is here. In these students who chose to learn despite their circumstances. In Mama Esther, who raised me with nothing but love. In every teacher who volunteers here. The crowd applauded. My parents taught me that wealth means nothing without purpose. Today, I see purpose everywhere in this room. One by one, students walked across the stage. Elijah shook each hand. One girl hugged him and whispered, "Thank you for believing in us." After the ceremony, Elijah stood outside watching the celebration. Mama Esther stood beside him. "You did good, son," she said. "We did good, Mama," Elijah corrected. Together. The garage still stood down the street. Elijah would return there tomorrow. Because he never forgot where he came from. Dignity had won. Not through money or revenge. But through grace, truth, and the courage to stay standing when everyone told him to fall. And that was the greatest victory of all. The story you have just heard is a beautiful tale of dignity and redemption. I'm telling you to wake your minds to the truth that your worth is not determined by what you own, but by who you are and how you treat others. If you were Elijah, facing rejection and betrayal, would you have chosen grace over revenge? Would you have had the strength to build something good from your pain? I want to know your opinion because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. Remember, people may judge you by your appearance, your job, or your bank account. But true character is revealed in how you respond when life tests you. Choose truth. Choose dignity. Choose to lift others up even when you've been knocked down. God bless you, and may courage guide your hands. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the channel's most beloved folktales. I am sure you'll love it. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.